Hi Year 4 and welcome to the final chapter, chapter 5 that we're going to read from Roman Invasion. Like I said before, if you've enjoyed this book, it might be that eventually you can take it out of the library, and I hope that you've enjoyed the few little snippets that we've had so far from it. So here we go, chapter 5. We'll see what's happening to the Roman road that's being built. During the first day, Pentheus repeatedly stopped the cart and used the stakes and rope to make sure the road kept to a straight line and had the same width all the way along. I remained on the cart tied up and looked out at the Romans as they worked, and at the countryside all around us. It was country I knew well. I had played here as a small child and hunted deer and wild boars with my cousin. Much of it was forested, especially that which ran along the banks of the rivers, but some areas were bare, moss and grass on rock and turf, and it was across this bare rocky country that the legion headed to build the road. By the time we finally stopped to make camp at the end of the day, 2 miles of new road were under construction behind us. I have to admit that by the time we stopped, my stomach was aching with hunger. I was still tied to the cart and had not eaten all day. At noon, the Romans had stopped for a break, and I saw they took out some rations. They looked like biscuits and dried fruits. Pentheus had come to the back of the cart and offered me some of his rations, but I had simply scowled and turned my head away to let him know I was not interested in touching his Roman food. He had shrugged, and he and Tellus had sat down on the ground and begun to eat their biscuits and fruit. It made me feel hungry and angry at the same time. Now, as the cart jolted to a stop for the last time, I wondered if Pentheus and Tellus would offer me food again, and I had decided I would take it if they did, but I would not ask for it. Tellus unhitched the horse from the cart and tethered the animal with a length of rope so that it could graze but not wander off. Then, while Pentheus made a tent for shelter, Tellus gathered wood and made a fire. The Roman soldiers were busy building the perimeter for a camp, with low walls of turf and wooden stakes. I had seen them do this when they were out on patrol in Caveti territory. If they had to stay somewhere overnight, they made a temporary camp with defences and sentries to stop any attack. Another reason why they were so hard to defeat. Pentheus joined me at the cart. "You don't say much," he said. I shrugged. "I'm a prisoner," I said. "Prisoners don't have a lot to say." "But prisoners need to eat. Are you hungry?" I hesitated and then nodded. "In that case, you can join me and Tellus by our fire and eat with us." He pointed at the ropes that held my wrists and said, "Personally, I would have untied these ropes before now, but the soldiers argued against it. They said you were dangerous and might escape, even though your mother and sister are being held hostage." "Are you dangerous?" Inside, I felt pleased that the soldiers had said this about me. They considered me a danger. I nodded. "Yes," I said proudly, "I'm dangerous. I'm a warrior." Pentheus nodded in understanding. Then he said, "If I untie these ropes, will you give me your word as a warrior that you will not try to escape? At least, not this evening." I looked at the hills around us, at the way the sky overhead was darkening as the sun went down, all perfect for escape. Then I thought of my mother and sister, who would be killed if I ran away from the Roman convoy, and I nodded. "Yes," I said, "I give you my word as a warrior I will not try to escape this evening." "Good," said Pentheus, and he began to untie the ropes. "It's easier to eat without your hands tied together, believe me, I know." I looked at him in surprise. "You were a prisoner?" I asked, shocked. He nodded. "Who took you prisoner?" I asked. "The Brigantes? The Caledonians?" "The Romans," he said. He finished untying the ropes, stepped down from the back of the cart and headed towards the small tent where Tellus had got the fire going and was cooking something over it. It looked like a small joint of meat. I looked after Pentheus, stunned. He looked like a Roman. He talked like a Roman. He gave the Roman soldiers orders. Why would the Romans have taken him prisoner? And when? My head was in a whirl with all of this. It made no sense. He turned to me and called out, "Well, are you coming to eat, or are you just going to sit there?" I jumped down from the cart and joined them by the fire. This business of Pentheus being a prisoner of the Romans was a mystery I had to solve. We're going to leave it there. I hope that you've enjoyed it. Bye for now.